Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon, and today on PartnerTalks, we have Natalie Lemke. Natalie, introduce yourself to the folks and tell them who you are and what you do.
Happy to do so. So I'm Natalie Lemke, CEO of RUX Software. We're a provider of industrial and commercial asset management, rental software, and field service maintenance software. We also have a suite of productivity apps. All of our solutions are built specifically for Business Central.
So Natalie, when we sat down last year at Directions, you were telling me about your personal history and how you came to lead RUX Software. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Sure thing. So I don't think it's a secret for folks who know me well that I'm a longtime NAV fangirl. The very first software selection process I went through, I was evaluating different ERP applications back when I was still at SPS Commerce. We were in the process of ripping out an old legacy system. And when I met NAV, I fell head over heels. I tell people all the time, when I saw dimensions as a structure, I thought, this is it. I have to have this. After working in implementing NAV and then working within SPS for 12 years, I decided that what I wanted to do all day, every day was implement ERP applications, specifically Dynamics NAV, and so made the transition into consulting, and I was hooked. And so I think I shared this with you, Rick. I realized that was how I wanted to spend all day, every day, and the more clients I was able to help, the more fun I was having. So I spent a good number of years at RUX Software, which was an exceptional time. That was during the season when Microsoft was trying to decide what they were going to call Business Central. And the big launch from NAV and GP up to BC was just in its fledgling stages. I left RUX Software and went to a company called Net at Work. That organization is a leader in delivering Sage, Acumatica, NetSuite, HRM, and CRM solutions. So I stepped out of the Microsoft ecosystem for a beat, and I missed it a little bit too much. We looked at the landscape and thought what solutions would be incredibly valuable to end customers and saw a real need in the industrial asset management space. And that's how RUX Software came to be.
And it seems you're pulling together a powerful organization. So how many employees do you have now?
Today we have about 60 employees. We've got team members predominantly in Canada and the US. We do have a few employees in the Philippines, and that helps us as we provide coverage globally. Some of our largest clients sit in both Europe and Australia, and so it's nice to have that diverse coverage for our end customers.
Okay, so if we look to the beginning of 2025, you had a pretty exciting year last year as well. So let's talk about what happened with RUX last year.
So we had the two acquisitions of Open Door and ERP Connect Consulting, which folks in the ecosystem might know more fondly as Ben Cole's business with the BC Toolbox apps. That was a banner year. And then we went through the process of launching the brand. So in the beginning, RUX Software wasn't called RUX Software. It was a project with a code name that had an idea and a business plan, but hadn't been launched in the market yet. Last year in August, we had the opportunity to launch officially as RUX Software, and we got such a warm reception from partners. It was such an experience to launch a brand for the first time as a CEO. And to feel that warm reverb back from the Microsoft Business Central channel was really great. So today and through 2025, we did business with around 80 partners. And as we look to the new year, we see that continuing to grow.
So a name like RUX, the first time I heard it, I remembered it. It was pretty incredible that way. So getting the name right is one thing. How are you getting the people right? What are you doing to pull the people together?
Sure, that's a great question and one that we spend a lot of time on. So over the course of the last 12 months, we also took a hard look at what are our core values, what are the things that are important to us and folks that join our team, what does it mean to be a product-first, partner-centric organization. We use the word internally pioneering. So we don't want to be at the cutting edge or the bleeding edge, but we want to be leading the pack, and we want to be providing an experience to our end customers and our partners that demonstrates our knowledge that we've aggregated over many decades doing this. So when we're looking at adding to the team, we think about a couple things. One, industry experience is incredibly important. We recognize that our end customers have really complex business needs, and whether we're sitting side by side with a partner or we're engaged directly with an end customer, it's critically important that we have the industry experience that they're seeking. And then as we look to build product in the Microsoft ecosystem, it's important that we have folks that understand and are well aligned with what Microsoft is producing for the platform, so that we put out is incremental, is valuable to that end customer, and works seamlessly with Business Central.
Okay, I want to jump into the whole world of AI and this frontier partner, but I'm going to ask you, what's the culture like at RUX? What are you building from a culture perspective?
So we've done a lot from a culture perspective to build a strong organization. There are a few things that we've implemented over the course of the last 12 months. One thing you can imagine, two businesses coming together. Folks haven't had the opportunity to meet one another previously. In many cases, there are folks on meetings together for the first time. We had a lot of firsts over the last 12 months. And so we've done two things. One is we've had a good number of folks be able to attend conferences so they get to spend time with one another in person. The Microsoft ecosystem has a plethora of conferences. We were talking about that earlier, Rick. There's no shortage of opportunities to see one another in person. So it's been very beneficial to us as we've been able to find opportunities to bring people together. And then the second thing is standing up a series of town halls so that internally we're able to share a lot of information with folks in a transparent format around what we're building from a product perspective, what we see from a go-to-market perspective, and then where we're delivering success to end customers. In any professional services organization, there's a lot of work that centers around the client. In our case, as a product company, we're trying to make that shift from just being client-centric to being client and partner-centric, and making sure that that experience for that end partner is showcased so we know what good looks like.
Perfect. And that's a great answer, because I do a lot of work with partners, and I really see the ones that tend to grow and become more successful understand culture, and that they have to develop that along with the technology. So let's jump back into the technology, because Microsoft wants us to be frontier partners. What is RUX doing internally to become frontier partners, and what's your strategy with AI on your products?
I'll go reverse order if that's okay. So from a product perspective, there are many different opportunities to implement AI and integrate Copilot into the experience that our customers have when using our software. So maybe to take a step back and table set, all of the software that we provide, every app that we have is published on AppSource and is built specifically for Business Central and is embedded inside Business Central. To that end, as Microsoft releases Copilot integration across the application, as MCP comes to life, there's a natural opportunity for us to dovetail right on that experience and create a seamless experience inside of our technology. A specific example of that I'll be launching a few weeks here is the integration of Copilot within a service ticket. So when a technician has an industrial asset that needs planned or unplanned maintenance, they go to the piece of equipment, perhaps there's an error code showing or it's making a funny noise. They're able to input that information directly into the service ticket in Business Central, and we have an integration with Copilot that takes that information and goes out and calls back for what are the things that a technician might want to do to troubleshoot this issue, what are the steps they might need to take if this is planned maintenance, what are the inventory items, so building out that bill of materials or consumable items that need to be consumed in order to perform this maintenance, planned or unplanned. And then lastly, what's the estimated amount of time that it might take for this work to get completed. And so returning those results back to the service ticket saves that technician time and gives them a little bit of a jump start on, it might be work they already know how to do, but at a minimum, it saves them those clicks. On the other hand, if they're a more junior technician, it accelerates them getting to the action step of how do I get this piece of equipment back up and running and back out into the field. And so that's one example of technology that we're releasing that leverages that AI integrated experience for that end user. But we see so many opportunities across our suite of solutions to continue to implement enhancements like that sit inside Business Central next to the technology that Microsoft's released that provides that incrementally more powerful experience for that end user because they can get things done faster.
And I think that's that's what customers are looking for. It's great that I can use Copilot and start building things, but I think they're really looking to companies like RUX to come and say, listen, we've built it for you already, and now we're going to, make it go live within your environment, and it's going to work for you. It's not something that you have to build yourself, and I think that's the right direction for ISVs to travel.
Absolutely. There was a on the internal side of the question, and what are we doing inside of RUX, so separate from our product suite. There was a really powerful set of discussion topics at Directions EMEA that I think myself and my team took home as one of the most powerful takeaways. And that is, if you look at any page in Business Central, whether it's a native screen or one of our apps, if it's hard for AI to read that page and understand what those fields are for, it is hard for an end user. And that was an incredibly powerful message to us as we go to enhance our technology, add new features, extend the functionality, add new apps to our suite of productivity products. Starting with that mindset and leveraging AI during the development process, not just to write code, but really to make those solutions more usable for the end customer and easier to implement for partners. That's a secondary mindset that we're holding near. So I think that was an incredibly valuable learning from the last 12 months. And I think when Microsoft talks about becoming a frontier partner and talking about leveraging AI in the business and for the business, those are sort of the two examples that come to my mind.
So that's excellent news about your products and what you're working with in the AI front. But overall, in 2026, I think it's going to be a growth year for RUX. So Natalie, what do you have in store for 2026?
So we've got a lot in store for the year ahead. I shared a little bit about what's coming from an AI integration perspective inside the product. We've got a full calendar of events that we'll be at in the upcoming new year, so it'll be exciting to see all of you at those events. We'll be exhibiting sponsors for the main Microsoft events, so Directions, Summit, Dynamics Con, so we look forward to seeing folks there. And then on the new product development side, we've got several apps queued up for release this calendar year. The next one that's going to be released is a Telematics integration. We're very excited about this. We think about our clients with dozens, hundreds, thousands of assets that are out doing work. It's important for them to know, where is that asset at from a GPS tracking perspective? Is that asset in good working condition at this time? How much of that asset's horsepower has been consumed? Has it been running for 4 hours, 6 hours, 18 hours, 2 weeks straight? And is there anything that that piece of equipment is reporting back using that telematics data that would impede the ability for that customer to continue earning revenue from that piece of equipment? So we're very excited about that telematics integration. We think that's going to add a lot of value and bring together the data that our end customers need. And that product will be released here this spring as well. And then the other big launch that we have coming this spring that I'm very excited about is we've gone through the work to publish our apps for several Asian localizations from a productivity suite perspective. So our rentals and service products have always been available to the APAC region. We're now taking our productivity apps, so those BC Toolbox apps, and we're preparing those to be launched into the Asian market ahead of Directions Asia. That's very important to us because we see a huge demand in that market and many partners that need things that they just don't have access to today.
Okay, Natalie, thank you very much for joining us on Partner Talks and giving us the history of yourself and RUX and what you've got going in the future. And it sounds very exciting, and I'm sure we'll have you back on to find out more about what's going on as a frontier partner and a real leader in the Microsoft ISV space.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Rick.
Have a great day, and bye for now.